third module is Who Are the Hands of Life? And we'll also look at Pebble in the Pond. We've been focusing ourselves on how to fall in love with the wonderful person we are. Because of who I am in this life, I must invite us, even this early in the course, to take a moment to reflect on what we're meant to do and be in this life. Even as we're beginning the journey into deep and abiding love for ourselves, there's a whole world awaiting our love. I'm thrilled to invite us to think about it. Why do we live on this planet? As some folks appear to think, it's merely to breeze merrily through life, acquiring the most we can out of everything and everybody. Looking back on a fairly long life, I can see how much joy comes to me through the little things I do to make someone else's life a little easier, and even just to brighten someone else's day. I have come to think that we're here to help one another on this journey called life. And as we've been saying, we can't give what we don't have. So our first step in being able to be helpful is to live healthy, honest, happy lives ourselves. And what a blessing it is for us to make the burden of others even a little lighter. If we can be a bridge to a brighter day for someone else, that is a mighty beginning. Another thing we can do for each other is to wish them all the good we wish for ourselves. When we hold others in the same high esteem we are learning to hold ourselves, our uplifting thoughts offer them the support to be true to themselves also. St. Francis of Assisi said, "We have been called to heal wounds, to unite what has fallen apart, and to bring home those who have lost their way." What an invitation that is. There is so much sadness on this planet, so much suffering. All of us can do, and I believe all we need to do, is to open our hearts and ears to hear the call and respond as we feel led. As I see it, we are each the hands life can use on this planet. I believe we are each being called in our own way and our own time to be the hands of life to one another, to assist one another in any way we can. The more we love ourselves, the more available we can be to share our love. Let's take a moment to look at our hands, our strong, supple hands, which do so much through each day. Let us say thank you to them for their faithfulness. Here's a thought. The sun shines everywhere the same. It shines on the just and the unjust without discrimination. We are invited to shine on everyone like the sun, without judging who deserves to receive our light. When we give whatever we have without attachment to the giving or to the receiver, this is the way to peace. And here's one of my favorite images and thoughts. I believe that every moment we're dropping our pebble into the pond of life. Ripples flow out from us to the far corners of the globe. We can ask ourselves, as I drop my pebble, what is the quality of that dropping? I believe that what we do in our lives touches everything else in the world. The stakes are big. If this is so, when one heart heals, all hearts are touched. What can we do to heal our planet? Let's look at the way nature works. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but always inexorably. It's impossible to stop nature. How can we humans cooperate with nature? I believe it is in being our true selves that we live harmoniously with the planet. We do the planet justice by being fully ourselves. That is our offering, and I believe it is essential that we give it. We take our time. Like nature, we continue to move forward. We can trust that all that happens, happens for good. We take care of ourselves like we would our own newborn baby. We ask ourselves what our ideal day would look like, live as much of it as we can each day, gently make plans, and invite more of that day to become our everyday. We write and refine our love to-do list of all that we love and see how we can incorporate more of those things into our day-to-day. And we ask ourselves honestly what we find esteemable and build our actions around those things. It has delighted me to find that among my esteemable actions are just those things that we've been talking about here, softening and brightening the lives of others. From Pebble to space. Let's take a moment to imagine ourselves zooming away from the Earth out into space. Let's look back on our exquisite blue and green planet. Will it matter that we accomplished 500 or 5,000 things in our lives? What will matter most, I think, is our perspective and how we did the things we did, the spirit we carried in our hearts as we lived. Did we take our time and act in love? We move forward each day in 2 small steps, seeing things as they actually are and doing the next obvious thing. That is, taking a step back from what seems obvious and taking a clear look at the situation before us. Then, looking in front of our feet, we do the thing that presents itself. This is an experimental life, so we do the thing that feels right in the moment and see what happens. Most of the people I work with report being relieved that it's time to live in reality, not making up some scenario in their head and trying to live from there. Seeing things as they are, doing the next thing that presents itself, this is a life we're in the middle of living. If we don't like the result of our experiment, we can step back, look at the biggest picture we can see, and move forward in the small steps that can lead us to a life we love. As I see it, when we don't like our lives, it's not the world that is off. The world we see is a reflection of our inner life. Our inner world colors the world we see outside ourselves. A small shift in attitude, a small change in perspective may be all that's needed to see things differently. And as we live a more authentic life, our perceptions change. We become willing to see things differently. One of the things we see is that each of us must be free to be ourselves. We have the right to live without judgment from ourselves or others. Who we are is perfect. We are enough just as we are. If we haven't been being true until now, this is the time. Deep down, we know who we are. Trusting ourselves is the foundation for trusting life and everyone we meet on our journey. Trust is the basis for living free, to be really happy and fulfilled in this life. May we trust ourselves and life. Let's take a moment to shift our sights from others and the world back to ourselves and our lives to gather more tools to help us in our journey to self-love. Well, we may ask, what is it to have a human life? How do we claim the life we've been given? As we begin the journey of looking within to honor ourselves, this is the time to rejoice in being human and live well in the bodies we've been given. When we pay attention to the gift of the life we're living, we can choose to claim the body, treat it with loving care, and cherish it as the great gift it is. The workings of the human body are miraculous, and we can celebrate their wonders. The body is the vehicle to carry us through this life, a sacred vessel for all of our experiences. Funnily enough, though, it is not uncommon for people to think the body is a drag on us, a weight we'd rather not have to lug around. As I see it, in the body, we have a resting place from which to observe and embrace the totality of our experience on this planet. We began by thanking our hands. May we also remember to thank our bodies, love and support them as our bodies have loved and supported us. Our bodies respond to the messages we give them. If our bodies are well cared for, living in them is a magical experience. If we remember to ask, the body will sing, dance, play, laugh, and stay strong. And we have to ask. Many of us were trained in childhood to ignore our bodies and their messages to us. We may have been told, don't feel that way. Even more challenging, I was often told, you don't feel that way. I suppose it's not surprising that we often carry those messages into our adult lives. I certainly did. In reality, we may still doubt or entirely discount our body's natural feelings. Yet wonderful to realize, we can trust our bodies. They always tell the truth. If our body says it's tired or hungry or thirsty, it means it. Here's another thought. There is also a tendency in our fast-paced society to drive our bodies more relentlessly than we do our cars and expect them to run perfectly with little or no care at all. Not only were we taught to ignore our feelings in childhood, nothing has invited us to reconnect with them in adulthood either. Yet feelings are a fact of life. They are not a choice. When we participate in the societal ban on listening to our bodies, we lose access to one of the most intimate aspects of ourselves, our feelings. We can listen to our bodies. It may take time to begin to hear. We may have been tuned out for a long time. Like everything else worth doing, there's no hurry. The body always tells the truth, and when we listen, we may find that our bodies become among our greatest teachers. Our responsibilities to our bodies is clear. They can't take care of themselves. They are like our children. We have to take care of them before we do anything else. They are the environment in which we live and our number one responsibility. If we take care of them, we can be free to live a full life. If we don't, our attention is drawn and again to what we're trying to ignore. Besides all the essential physical care, what our bodies need most is our love and appreciation. Feelings are a fact of life. It may take some time to begin to turn into our body's messages, both physical and emotional. When our feelings are up, we can trust ourselves because our bodies never lie. If we're uncomfortable and tense, there's a reason for it. It may not be something other people would feel uncomfortable with, but we don't mind. Here is another of my favorite practices. And I have to say here that we'll no doubt find it amusing as we move through this course that I love all the practices. The reason for that is that each of them has helped me immeasurably to live a life I love, which is why I share them with you. So here is our practice, staying with our feelings. The word emotion comes from Latin and means to move through. Like a dance, our emotions move through our body. If we're uncomfortable or tense, there's a reason for it. If we're feeling out of sorts or a particular emotion we can name, we take ourselves apart, perhaps to our bed. Lie down in our most comfortable position and let our awareness float on the body. Let the feelings come and go. We stay and just feel. It's an easy and gentle practice. If we're staying with our feelings during the day, when we feel easy again, we can return to activity. If we're in bed for the night, we may well find ourselves drifting off to sleep more easily than ever. We can do this anytime our feelings are up. When we're honoring what we're feeling, we're taking care of ourselves. When we go apart and stay with our feelings, if we have feelings that are resurfacing from the past, we find that we're healing our emotional hurt bit by bit. It's a miracle. We'll revisit this practice and how to use it for healing more in the depth in a later module. Now let's talk a bit about our sexual energy. Just as we are responsible for our body's well-being, we are also responsible for our sexual contentment. Many people I work with tell me that they are as out of touch with their sexual selves as they are with other aspects of themselves. It is natural and right for people to have different rhythms and needs for sexual union and for the physical release that comes from sexual experience. Sometimes we may be in a time of life when we have no partner, or our partner has different sexual timing from us. During those times, it is self-loving for us to claim our sexuality and fulfill our sexual needs. If we don't, like anything else we shove to the background that wants to come forward, we may find ourselves becoming tense, frustrated, or even angry in our daily lives without realizing the source of those feelings. Making love to ourselves is a natural and wonderful part of befriending and claiming ourselves. Here we are, falling in love with ourselves as a foundation for all of our relationships. May we honor and love ourselves sexually as we need and want to. We've been talking about honoring our bodies, our emotions, our sexuality. What of our mind and heart? One way we can think of our heart is as our home in the center of our body. Let's take a moment to place our hands on our heart and thank it. It has been beating since before we were born and continues to do so every moment of every day. Let's say thank you. Let's do the practices offered here to help make our hearts a safe and comfortable place where we can rest in loving ourselves anytime we want. What about our minds? As I see it, our minds are the world in which we live, and they are the servants of the heart. They don't run the show. When the mind falls back into an old pattern, perhaps of self-judgment, perhaps just of endless chatter, we can invite the mind to see peace. We can say to ourselves, I am willing to see this differently. The mind is as sacred as everything else and can create serenity. Gently, lovingly, we can ask our mind to serve our heart. This in itself is an act of exquisite self-love. In the next module, we'll take a look at how we talk to ourselves in our minds and see how we might hear only a kind, compassionate voice when we listen in.